So, it's been a few years since I started working on Beatmatrix, so I figured I should give a brief history on how Beatmatrix was developed up until this point. From a young age, I figured making games would be the way to go. Also from that same age, I mixed up songs and how they sounded, like I would be imagining Passion for Exploring from VVVVVV. And then it suddenly turns into Mushroom Gorge from Mario Kart Wii. Stuff like that became a hobby of mine that eventually reached the point where I wanted to share it with people. At the time, my game dev aspirations thought it would be an amazing idea to turn that hobby into a game, and after rushing the end of Project Cold's development to help kickstart my game dev career, this song mixing hobby was at the core of the first game I would ever develop. Only problem with that is that I also wanted to make money from this game at some point, and stay out of trouble with copyright. This meant I had to make my own music. Fortunately, I had a conveniently placed April Fool's joke from 2021 called Project Oz to help with that. So I glued together a system in Construct 3 to make levels that synchronized with the music, and came up with the idea that songs are linked together in a matrix, a beat matrix working title. And I kinda made the main objective of the game to squash the bugs in the entire beat matrix. The game worked for what it was. It was freaking hard, yeah, and there was also only one song, which is barely enough for any song mixing shenanigans to occur, but dang it, I had my hopes. I also wanted to offer the project file for this version to anyone who wanted to make their own levels. Fortunately, no one has ever obliged to make their own levels with Beatmatrix version 1. I mean, the level loading system in that game was a giant unwieldy tiled map that was just off screen, that had objects running all over it. But hey, I'm glad I improved the level loading system from that to this. It's definitely a struggle to read all that, but I'm sure a simple in-game level editor will be much easier to read once that releases down the line, hint hint. A couple months later, I released Beatmatrix version 2, which added Submerged in Hypothermia, which came from Project Cold, as a level, as well as the toggles to turn on the left or right side of a level, which I believed would help with muscle memory for when you play a level with both of your hands, or with all 8 keys. And then I added some extra beat bugs in the 4-key mode, so when gameplay got boring without them. Scores were also saved in this version. They also went up to 100 and stayed that way up until the April Fool's 2024 update. Beatmatrix version 2 ended up being a smaller update, all things considered. Also, all the footage for this section came directly from the video I did on this version, since the download for that version came with a free virus, at least on Windows. The more you know. Towards the start of 2022, Beatmatrix 3.0 released. It was also kind of a small update as far as content goes, aside from the music that plays in the menus. I'll skim over the small details while giving attention to the bigger details, like the fact that I obtained testers, and they requested some great quality of life features like volume control and more cursor-friendly UI. Meanwhile, I added some other stuff like an actual animation for whenever you score an ice on a beat bug, and also a very weird secret mode known as the Vibe mode. More Beatmatrix 3.x versions came out throughout 2022 and 2023 that fixed glitches and added more style, as well as quality of life features, like even more cursor-friendly UI, as well as control configurations that you can actually customize. I guess that's what it means to configure controls. I also optimized the level loading system by changing the level object from a tile map to an array. This lets me add some more features to the level object without filling up any image data. For instance, there are faster red beat bugs called heated beat bugs, as well as slower blue beat bugs called sad beat bugs. They get formally introduced in the new 3.x songs, the Fancy Bug Club and The World Sings, respectively. Incidentally, Fancy Bug Club had an unused predecessor called Boopy Beat that was going to test to the player's polyrhythmic ability. That song wasn't that great and went on to become Beatmatrix's unused soundtrack, only accessible on YouTube. On a side note, this soundtrack, called These Aren't the Results We're Looking For, did surprisingly well when it released on YouTube. This was a bit concerning since the only way to hear this music is to somehow reach the result screen without seeing a single beat bug across the bottom of the screen during gameplay. I also get the feeling it won't fit anywhere else in the game. This is probably how the developers of Fire Emblem Heroes thought when they saw the Gatekeeper from Fire Emblem Three Houses get voted as the most popular Fire Emblem character instead of some of the more prominent characters. Amazing. Moving on. Beatmatrix 0.4.0 started development towards the end of 2023, and one of the first things that happened is that the level loading process got overhauled again. It all started when I asked this complex question on the Construct 3 Discord, post read. I was very secretive about Beatmatrix's plans at the time, and concise questions often get answered more on that Discord. That eventually led to a discussion about how important audio.current time was in rhythm games, as Beatmatrix previously used an in-engine log clock, so to speak, to calculate how much time has passed, and that says some decent gameplay and audio sometimes. So it was fair to switch to using audio.current time, since that fixed the desyncs and trivialized the question that kickstarted the discussion. Nice. Over the course of 2024, I got busy, when I can, with converting each level to audio.current time, and changed the left-right both difficulties to single both-handed and simple advanced difficulties. Along the way, I actually played the levels I was making instead of watching the game auto-perfect all the levels like I did earlier, when I thought it saved time. Honestly, that decision alone made designing better levels easier, even if there are still some rough parts. Though redesigning levels with absolutely no new content to show does make the wait for the new Beatmatrix version longer than it is, ultimately making some stuff too uninteresting to look at. I guess it's alright to pepper a few secrets in the description, info cards, and even the content of some of those uninteresting videos. Oh frick, is that the April Fool's demo from 2024? This is a demo on itch.io of how things were going when I decided to upload a new version with only the stuff that I thought were decently polished by the time April 1st rolled around. That meant only 2 songs were available, each with 4 sets of difficulties. Also new to the April Fool's update were some serious features like being able to control whether beatbugs slid or jumped and which hand is your dominant hand. The real joke is what the new button I added does. Truth be told, this button will eventually be the inspiration behind Beatmatrix Incarnate, also known as beatmixing. At the start of 2024, beatmixing was being difficult to implement consistently, but I get the feeling that thanks to the shiny new dev tool I made, the answer to making that feature work should become crystal clear soon. I'll just get back to that after making the level for Poppy Fight Song. With the help of this dev tool that can let me start the level at any point of the song, which is almost 4 minutes long. Man, I'm so glad I made that dev tool. But yeah, Beatmatrix 0.4.0 won't be done after Poppy Fight Song gets implemented or after beatmixing gets implemented, as there's still some stuff that I want to put in there before releasing it. For instance, the special guest for Poppy Fight Song, known as the Beast. It's been making the rounds in some of the song artwork in this game. It broke into the Fancy Bug Club to grab some dinner. Fortunately, the player comes along at just the right time after skillful navigation using the beat mixer with the help of the beat bugs. They will put a stop to the Beast buffet by distracting it with the tasty particles that come off the beat bug when it gets scored perfectly. The Beast doesn't find a lot of things tasty other than fancy bugs and the nice particles from perfectly scored beat bugs. In other words, play carefully, or it will eat you up. And that's that for the history of Beatmatrix's development up until this point. Before this video wraps up, is anyone up for playtesting? If you are, fill out this Google form in the description of this video, and you may be chosen to test Beatmatrix as I send out tester builds. in order to get a better chance at eligibility, you will need to be able to record your gameplay and your reactions and commentary to the gameplay. Anyway, that's all folks.